and welcome everyone to No Cabin Fever today. I'm Michaela from Scandio, and with us today is Eran Levy from Adaptavist. And our talk today is about keeping Jira Service Desk secure in the age of remote work. So now over to you, Eran.
Hi, thank you, Michaela. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. And let's just get started. So yeah, today's talk is about Jira Service Desk and keeping Jira Service Desk secure, especially now when more and more businesses are working remotely. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, see what the issue is, whether there's an issue there, and what you can do to address it. My name is Eran. I'm the product marketing lead for script runner products at Adaptavist. So just one or two slides about us. We are kind of a one-stop shop offering a wide range of solutions and services across the Atlassian ecosystem. Specifically, we are the developers of some of the most popular apps around in the Atlassian marketplace. These include the Script Runner family of products, the most famous and popular of which is probably Script Runner for Jira. We are also responsible for other apps, including Script Runner for Confluence, Script Runner for Bitbucket, additional apps for Confluence, and as well as Trello. We are a global company with offices pretty much, as you can see here, pretty much all over the world. We've got a large presence in North America and Europe, as well as Asia, and our headquarters are in London. But these days, as I suppose many of the listeners or the viewers are, we are mostly working from home due to the pandemic and the global situation with COVID-19. So what does that mean, working from home? What does that mean when it comes to Jira or when it comes to IT service desks or IT help desks? So yeah, what we've basically seen is that pretty much all over the world, remote work has exploded. Companies that maybe were completely averse to the idea found themselves having to overnight switch everything from in office to remote. Companies that were maybe half-half needed to switch to a completely remote model. And that was really a kind of a rapid transition in many areas of the world. So what happens is that more business operations are being handled online. You know, this is really just the nature of the beast when everything needs to be done over the internet. This creates more IT overhead since IT now needs to be responsible for security and for connectivity and for equipment across not a single location or a handful of locations, but really as many locations as there are employees in the company. And finally, there's less direct conversations. I mean, obviously there's Zoom, there's Slack, there's all these communication tools, but there's no opportunity, there's no way to just pop into somebody's office and say, hey, you know, that ticket you opened, could you tell me what that's all about, right? Like, you can't really do that. You need to more proactively go and engage someone on Slack. It could create some communication barriers, or it could reduce this type of face-to-face or immediate communication. So there was a fairly recent, maybe recent-ish, kind of controversy or discussion around this topic a few months ago, when a blogger from a company called integrity.com, which is a bug bounty platform. So he published an article on Medium, which is linked here. I will share a link to this presentation in the chat and later through email if needed. But basically this article on Medium said, that there are hundreds of internal help desks, internal service desk exposed due to COVID. With the idea being that since the start of the crisis and since the start of like remote work becoming much more prominent, this researcher identified a an increase of 13% of service desks that are now accessible via the World Wide Web, that allow users to create accounts that are in a certain sense publicly accessible. And basically the theory was that this was again due to COVID, due to more operations being moved online. This was picked up by the Register, which is also linked here, and Atlassian, without directly referencing this specific piece, did later issue some instructions on how to set up customer permissions in Jira Service Desk. So is there a problem, or what is the problem, and is this a real issue, or is this just kind of noise that's, you know, just like marketing or just noise? So basically, it's not really a problem with Jira. It's more of a problem of misconfiguration. Because Jira Service Desk is it's a versatile tool. You could use it for kind of customer-facing external operations, and you can use it for internal help desk, and you can use it for, you know, a wide range of use cases. And because it's so versatile and because it gives you a lot of options, which each of these options is relevant and legitimate in a certain set of circumstances, it does leave some margin for error. So basically, if you have an internal help desk, if you have something that's meant for internal IT support, and you leave that open, even if you're not leaving it, you know, if you're not allowing anyone to come in and see project details or see like all the employee details, even if you're just letting someone open a ticket, there is still room for manipulation by bad actors. First of all, in terms of the ability to extract information by impersonating users and credentials. So if anyone can open a ticket, then I can, as a hacker, as a bad actor, I can impersonate someone within the organization using either a generic email or an email from a lookalike domain, requesting some, you know, some information, some contact details, some equipment, or even if there's nothing like immediately actionable, just kind of understanding internal processes within the organization and how things work. And it doesn't seem very meaningful in the short term, but this is the way that hackers find backdoors and find exploits and find ways to kind of penetrate into an organization or just to extract unwanted information. So this could create some unpleasantness if you have service desks that you don't really need to be public, and you're giving the public at large access to them, especially for kind of regulated industries or companies that maybe work with more sensitive information or could be more of a target for attacks. So what do you do to avoid this unpleasantness? There's kind of three major areas to look at. One is the easiest, which is to update Jira. You know, you should keep your Jira up to date. If you're on Jira Cloud, obviously this is automatic, but if you are on Jira Server or Jira Data Center, then you should, you know, periodically update. Atlassian is on your side here, and they release important security updates, and you should, when possible, keep your version up to date. There are best practices you should apply. If you're a larger organization and you've got a lot of service desk, a lot of support portals, and a lot of things you're doing with Jira, then you should apply best practices around permissions and access rights and verification emails, which we will get into in the next slide. And you should always keep your eye on what's going on. You should audit and monitor and be able to know okay, which projects, which service desk, which portals are publicly accessible, and does not that really need to be the case? So in terms of best practices, so you want to kind of double check these permissions, and really you want to ask yourself once and twice and 3 times whether a particular portal actually does need to be accessible, and by whom. And in general, if you want to stay on the safe side, you should assume bad actors and hackers are quite smart, and you should look to narrow permissions as much as possible. So there is really very little reason for most internal portals to be just accessible. And if you have a known list of customers, then there's very little reason to allow users to create an account. A better way to do this is to integrate with LDAP, integrate with Active Directory. So there's always just these named users and named emails that can actually access Jira. And if users can create an account, you always want to verify emails. This is an option you need to switch on. You make sure that you're doing that, because otherwise anyone can create an account, john@yourcompany.com, or guess the email. Most companies follow a pretty standard email convention of first name, last name, or first initial, last name. So if you're not verifying those, if you're not requiring users to verify their emails, then that is a major exploit, and really think there should be really, really good reasons not to do this, but luckily Jira does allow you to request verification emails. And by the way, that's something that was introduced in an update. So this is an example of why you should always keep Jira up to date. In terms of setting the right permissions per portal, we have a table here. So this is pretty much the Atlassian kind of instructions on how to set permissions. So they give you 4 levels of access. One is that only people invited by your team to the project can see the portal and create requests. This is like the most private and sensitive information, so that even within your organization, only a specific group of people will be able to even see the portal. The second is that only Jira users within your organization can see the portal. So that is kind of a little bit broader within your organization. Next, you can have a situation where anyone can create an account and see to create an account and create requests, which is more for customer-facing operations when you know your customers. And finally, there is the most kind of permissive option where anyone can see the portal and create requests without an account. So this is kind of for customer-facing operations when you don't know who your customers are, you don't have a defined list of customers, or it's for public information such as roadmap updates. So those are best practices. Finally, we mentioned monitoring, so kind of always keeping an eye on your various portals, which in a larger organization can be tens or dozens or hundreds of portals. So as a Jira admin, as a security researcher, as anyone who wants to kind of keep an eye on these portals and make sure that everything is as it should be, we have a script. It's available on this URL here, which you see on the screen, which again, I assume I'll be able to share later through the organizers. And basically, this is a script runner script, which you can just copy and paste if you do have script runner for Jira. You just basically copy and paste this into the console, and it creates a list of your service desks, and it shows you which permissions each service desk has, and it lets you just kind of easily click and change those. So this is a really neat little script for monitoring and auditing, written by Jamie Eklund, who is the developer of Script Runner. So again, you can go to the Adaptavist blog on the URL here, and you can get that script. It's just right there. And yeah, that is it, unless there are any questions.
Thank you very much, Eran. That was really interesting. So if there are any questions from the audience, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah,
yes, and the talk is also recorded, and naturally there are a lot of people watching the recording afterwards. So,
yeah.
So thank you, Eran. And as we all know, things are slowly back to normal. So our No Cabin Fever talks will end tomorrow with a joint Pitfire talk. And the Atlassian community Berlin will still have the weekly remote talks. And you can find more information and the recordings of all our past talks on our No Cabin Fever Today website. So thank you very much, and see you tomorrow at 4 for our last talk, and have a good day and take care. Bye-bye.